How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews back with a little bit of side project up in this piece in the form of their Thicket. Yeah, this comes courtesy of my boy Dusty. He shot me off a bunch of side project beers, and this was in there. This is kind of the catalyst. I should say, one of the catalyst beers for that beer mill. I bought a couple beers. He was kind enough to pick them up for me while he was out in side project, and he threw a couple other jams in there in the mix. So yeah, let's dive in this sucker, see what she's got. It's pouring thick. Like it almost didn't want to come out there for a second, kind of like ketchup in a ketchup bottle. So yeah, we're off to a pretty fantastical start there. For those playing along at home, keeping score at home, I should say. Missouri Wild Ale, aged with blackberries, and this is blend number 2. Label-wise, I love side project labels, so there's nothing too different here. It's that nice kind of art design with a really nice kind of high-end kind of label. And as far as that beer goes, guess what? She looks like she has berries in it. What did you think it? Yeah, ABV, what was it? 6% alcohol by volume for those who would like to know. So you get rich kind of raspberry, blackberry kind of vibes off this sucker. Look at even that head. Once you give it a swirl and it comes out, there's that rich kind of reddish, kind of maroon reddish kind of color with a little bit of kind of purple thrown in there. Let's get a nose. I mean, there's tartness, there's acidity, there's a little bit of funkiness in there. Those raspberries come to a head. It's very much like an under-ripened kind of raspberry kind of vibe. It doesn't kind of get off super sweet, but you know there's some sweetness in there. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of back and forth in this beer, but it is really very much that fruit-forward kind of beer. You know you're getting into a sour. You know you're getting into something a bit funky, something a bit acidic. It smells pretty good. My heartburn might judge otherwise, but let's dive in. Cheers. Oh, it's dry. Oh boy, that's dry. Not in a bad way. I mean, those raspberries come to a head. I did not expect it to be that dry. That's crazy dry. It's one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of wine, because wines tend to finish like super dry for me. There's a big sweetness in here, so it kind of counterbalances a bit of that dryness. It was just caught me off guard. Yeah, second sip, much better. Like super. It's not even like cheek pulling tartness. It's like pulling my tongue back here. It's like grab my tongue and yanking it back. Tartness in there. And it really is a lot of those berries. Those berries are coming through in multiple different levels, from that sweetness to like an earthy kind of tannic bittering, from like whether it be like seeds or stems or skins, those kind of things going on. There's a big tartness. Again, I believe that's coming a lot from the berries. Sure, a lot of it's coming from the beer also, and from the fermentation process from the yeast and bacteria and critters that make that. But it just makes you think of all those different kind of berries, whether it be raspberries or blackberries, or those, when you get that super tart one, the super acidic one, the super sour one, the super sweet one, it's like all those berries. If you're like eat individual berries, you get like that kind of pop of taste of each of those flavors. Now imagine just mushing them all together, or throwing a pile of those in your mouth at one time, and biting down, and you're just kind of jumping back and forth between that kind of sweet and tart and funky and sour and acidic kind of thing back and forth. And it's very reminiscent of just eating bushels of berries when I was a kid. And you know, anytime a beer can elicit not just memories but positive memories from childhood, I think is a fantastic fucking thing. Yeah, I like it. Probably a little bit too acidic for me, just a little bit. Because it's not, and it's like the way the acidity plays, it's like I said, it's not cheek pulling, it's like grabbing the base of my tongue and trying to pull it back. That's an acidity I can take in a certain amount of doses. It's absolutely 1,000% going to trigger my body to want to produce some kind of crazy heartburn, but I should be alright. But, with all that being said, I think it's still quite tasty. I could see people going absolutely gaga over this. This is very much like a more acidic version of a real traditional kind of framboise. That kind of thing, to where it's just a little bit more tart, a little bit more acidic, those kind of things. Kind of younger, I guess you would say, kind of cranked up, kind of, framboise kind of traditional style, but with American twist, a little bit younger. And it's just really just a raspberry thing. I mean, it's more than just fruit. It's beer first, fruit second, but that fruit is so impactful on the personality and the soul of the beer, that while the beer is still beer, completely beer. It's not fruit juice. It's not those fruited Berliner things that everybody pops out nowadays. It is beer first and foremost, but that fruit has such a positive impact on the beer. That is really the calling card of the beer, and since it comes off as so many different levels of that fruit, so many different versions of that berry, I like it. Even though that acidity is just a little bit too much for me, I think it's fun as hell. A little bit colder. Maybe I throw this in the fridge, get a little bit colder for me. That'll kind of temper a little bit of the acidity for it. Drink a little bit better. I think they put a temperature on here. Do they? No. They're just like, yeah, whatever. Drink it, which I'm totally cool with. Yeah. Anyway, tasty stuff. Let's talk about it. Is it one of the better fruited wilds that I've had? It's like definitely worthy of meeting conversation. Even eking up towards the top, even though the acidity is a little bit too big for me, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a fantastically well-made beer. It's not so much that acidity kind of is a negative, it's just a negative for me, and it probably keeps it at the upper echelon Mount Rushmore status for me, but I know probably more often than not the people out there will dig that portion of the show, so keep that in mind, that it's a more personal preference to acidity than the actual beer being good nor bad. It's a fantastic beer. I think people would actually watch this review and be like, this guy's an idiot, because they love that kind of, that level of acidity. Value and availability, I forget what I paid for this, like $17, $17 for 12.9 ounces, so it's not a big beer, but for what goes into it, and you can kind of taste what you're paying for. I have no qualms with that price point, and leave you with, if you like, what will you like this beer? If you like raspberries, that's pretty much it. I mean, all of them. Yeah, I mean, they keep calling out blackberries here, and that kind of makes sense because I'm being an asshole and saying raspberry. It's even like, they show you a blackberry. I can see it right now. But I keep going in between, like a raspberry, blackberry kind of taste. It's not as full-on as a blackberry, but it's not as light as a raspberry. Regardless, if you like those kind of berries, very interchangeable for me from time to time, raspberry and blackberry. Anyway, if you like blackberries, raspberries, and you like wild ales, you like tartness, you like funkiness, you like a decent amount of acidity but not enamel ripping, it's still big again. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, Beer Massive. Want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of me knocking over the glass, and hopefully you enjoy a little bit of side project. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.